We live in an age where mental health apps, therapy podcasts, and mindfulness hacks are everywhere, yet people are more anxious, angry, and fearful than ever. Why? Because tools without discipline only create dependency. Society tells you to embrace every emotion and never hold back your feelings. But what if that very advice is what's keeping you stuck in cycles of fear and frustration? The Stoics would call it emotional slavery, not freedom. We're constantly told to chase positivity and avoid negativity. But what if negative emotions aren't the enemy at all? What if they're the training ground that shapes true resilience? Welcome to StoicCraft, a channel where ancient Stoic wisdom meets the chaos of modern life. Here you'll find practical lessons to conquer fear, master your emotions, and build the kind of inner strength that today's world desperately lacks. Maybe it's the constant worry about what lies ahead. Maybe it's the sudden burst of frustration when life doesn't bend to your will. Or perhaps it's that paralyzing dread that stops you from taking even the smallest step forward. Have you ever felt trapped inside a storm of negative thoughts with no clear way out, as if the walls are closing in? These emotions don't just sap your strength, they suffocate your joy, draining the very spark that makes life worth living. And yet, here's the truth. You're not the only one who feels this way. Every human being at some point has stood at the edge of emotional turmoil, whispering to themselves, "How do I escape this storm? How do I breathe again?" That's where Stoic philosophy steps in, not as abstract theory, but as a guiding light. It's more than a relic of ancient wisdom carved into books. It's a living blueprint for handling overwhelming emotions with resilience, balance, and clarity. Stoicism teaches us that peace isn't the absence of feelings, it's the art of managing the mind so emotions no longer consume us whole. The journey won't always be effortless, and at times it will feel uncomfortable, but it is absolutely possible. And if you're ready to take that first step, remember this: what you're about to hear isn't just a list of ideas. It's a reflection of lived human struggles, sharpened by Stoic insight and refined through personal growth. So stay present. Don't skip a second, because every word here could be the very turning point you've been waiting for. Together, let's begin this journey of inner strength. 1. Realize your mind can generate happiness. The human mind is nothing short of extraordinary. It is a powerful engine, capable of producing every shade of emotion, from profound sadness to euphoric bliss. And yet most of us wander through life not knowing how to operate it properly. Instead of serving us, our own minds often become the source of our greatest pain. Not because the mind is broken, but because we let it run on autopilot without conscious direction. It's like sitting at a piano, pressing the wrong keys again and again, and then wondering why the music sounds so harsh. Visualize this: you're sitting in a quiet room. Nothing around you is threatening, but your mind begins to type out endless stories of worry, failure, regret. Each thought is like a discordant note. Now ask yourself, why not choose a different composition? Why not direct your mental hands to play gratitude, joy, and cherished memories? Just as a pianist carefully selects notes to create harmony, you, too, can guide your thoughts to craft an inner symphony that uplifts instead of breaks you. When you're overwhelmed by negativity, it's rarely because life lacks goodness. More often, it's because you've unknowingly activated mental habits that focus on the painful. Consider a simple morning. You wake up and immediately think of unfinished tasks, unresolved problems, unpaid bills. Instantly your day spirals into stress and fatigue. But what if you paused? What if instead you whispered, "I'm alive. I have another chance today"? Wouldn't your energy shift? Joy isn't some hidden treasure buried outside of you. It has always been inside, only obscured by your focus on external approval, endless achievements, or temporary rewards. Stoicism reminds us, authentic happiness begins with thought discipline. When you stop feeding the thoughts that drain you, happiness doesn't need to be chased. It quietly emerges on its own. Imagine this. It's late afternoon. You're tired. The to-do list is still long, and your shoulders are heavy. If you dwell on pressure, your mind will generate more stress. But if you pause, take a breath, look at the sky, or let a calming sound wash over you, peace awakens. It was always there, just forgotten beneath the noise. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Yet too often our minds are split-dragged by regret from the past or fear of this future. Neither actually exists in the present moment. Picture the last time you were with your family. Were you truly present, or was your mind elsewhere at work, worrying, rehearsing? Had you just stopped, breathed, and noticed the moment, you would have discovered joy waiting for you, already there. Here's a practical Stoic exercise. When a dark cloud forms in your thoughts, ask yourself, am I pressing the wrong keys? Then gently shift. Think of one thing you're grateful for, one memory that warms you, one hope you haven't let go of. That simple act begins to rewire your mind from a source of suffering into a sanctuary of peace. This isn't abstract theory. It's a habit you can begin right now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking. Your mind can be the prison, or it can be the key. The choice begins with where you let it rest." 2. Learn to direct the mind once you realize that thoughts have the power to shape your emotional world. A deeper truth emerges. Your peace doesn't come from outside events, but from how you interpret them. This understanding is your foundation. But foundations alone don't build houses. To construct anything lasting, you need to train your mind not just to know this truth, but to live it. So the next step is learning to direct the mind, to train it to serve you instead of overwhelm you. The Stoics taught a radical yet liberating idea. Suffering doesn't originate in the world. It begins in our judgments about the world. It isn't the event itself that wounds us, but the story we attach to it. Think about moments when anger overtook you. Maybe you lashed out, raised your voice, or spoke words you later regretted. How did you feel afterwards? Not calm, not empowered. Instead, drained and ashamed. Anger doesn't resolve conflict. More often, it deepens it. Seneca warned, anger, if unchecked, often does more harm than the injury that provoked it. So ask yourself honestly, is momentary rage ever worth long-term peace? Emotions like anger and anxiety aren't alien invaders. They are signals, but signals can be misread. Most of the time we interpret them as orders, as if we must act. But Stoicism invites us to step back, breathe, and reinterpret. The emotion isn't the problem. The attachment, the unquestioned story, is they aren't enemies outside of you. They are emotional patterns built by a mind that's been left to run on autopilot. Think of your mind as a strong but untamed animal, a wild horse without reins. Left alone, it bolts toward the loudest emotional stimulus it sees, dragging you helplessly with it. That sudden rush of fear, the burst of frustration, the heavy weight of dread, these are signals that your mind has taken the reins, and you're merely holding on. So, how do you take the reins back? The first shift is subtle yet powerful. Stop fighting your mind and start working with it. Imagine you feel yourself heating up with anger after a sharp comment at work. The reflex is to snap back, defend yourself, maybe even escalate the tension. But Stoicism invites a different move. Instead of reacting instantly, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this really worth my peace? What if I simply chose not to respond with anger at all? That pause creates space, and in that space lies your power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are troubled by something external, the pain does not come from the thing itself, but from your judgment of it. And this you have the power to erase at any moment." He reminds us, you always have the final word in how you respond. That ability, the power to choose your inner state, is the truest form of control. Life, as you know, is unpredictable. Some days glide effortlessly. Others are filled with small triggers that feel like wrecking balls. A traffic jam, a careless word, an unanswered email, tiny sparks that can ignite an emotional fire. This is precisely where Stoic practice matters most. You cannot control the waves, but you can learn to sail. Picture yourself behind the wheel of a car. You can't stop reckless drivers from cutting you off, but you can slow down, stay alert, and keep yourself safe. That same awareness applies to the mind. You won't silence every negative thought, but you can decide how to meet them. Mastering the mind is no different from building physical strength. It doesn't come from a single workout, but from steady, daily effort. Try this. The next time anxiety begins to stir, instead of spiraling into what-ifs, focus on your breath. Whisper to yourself, "This will pass." I can choose to respond, not just react. Over time, this habit trains your nervous system to seek calm instead of chaos. Training the mind doesn't mean eliminating every negative thought. That would be impossible and even unhealthy. It means learning to coexist with them, to let them float through your awareness without handing them the steering wheel. Emotions are part of being alive, but when you learn to direct the mind, those emotions lose their power to dominate. You become the calm in the storm, the anchor when winds rise. And when the mind is trained, it doesn't just reduce suffering, it becomes a wellspring of clarity, resilience, and quiet strength. So, ask yourself honestly, are you steering your thoughts, or are they still driving you? Reflect on that question, and share with us, what's been your greatest challenge in calming your mind? Have you ever noticed how choosing a single different thought completely shifted your state of being? Your reflections matter because they remind all of us that mastery isn't about perfection, but practice. 3. Stop letting imagination spiral when anger, anxiety, or fear show up. Have you ever stopped to ask, where is this really coming from? Chances are, it didn't come from what actually happened. It came from what you imagined might happen. Most of our emotional pain isn't born from reality. It's born from the movies we create in our minds. Think back to a recent anxious moment. Was it truly grounded in fact or in a prediction your imagination scripted? Maybe you pictured yourself failing a presentation, assumed a delayed text meant rejection, or feared the worst from an email with no context. But here's the truth. How many of those catastrophic scenarios actually came true? Very few, if any at all. Epictetus observed men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. What disturbs us isn't the world, it's the inner movies our mind directs, edits, and plays on repeat. And let's be honest, our minds are brilliant filmmakers. The problem is they often produce horror films, stories where everything collapses, where worst-case scenarios dominate the stage. Picture this. You're sitting at home, nothing bad has actually happened. Yet in your head you're reliving a confrontation, worrying about tomorrow's outcome, or imagining judgment from people who aren't even thinking about you. Your heart races, your breath shortens, your chest tightens, and yet nothing has occurred. The suffering was entirely self-inflicted, born not from reality but from projection. So here's the liberating truth. If your mind is powerful enough to invent terrifying stories out of thin air, why not use that same imagination to craft hopeful ones? Be the director of something better. Visualize the meeting going well. Picture that phone call ending with laughter. Imagine success instead of failure. This isn't naive, it's training. And like a muscle, imagination strengthens in whichever direction you exercise it. Take a moment right now. Close your eyes. Think of something beautiful, a memory, a hope, a possibility. You just proved it. You can change the scene. You can shift the script. Here's a simple example. You get a text from your partner, "We need to talk." Instantly, your brain spins. What did I do wrong? Are they upset? Is this the end? Your mood plummets. But when the conversation finally happens, they just wanted to share exciting news or plan a surprise. The emotional damage? Entirely self-inflicted, caused not by reality but by your imagination. And that's the core message. Most fears aren't real. They're assumptions, mental fiction. The more you believe them, the more you suffer. You can't stop the mind from imagining, but you can train yourself not to believe every scenario it invents. Here's what to do the next time fear creeps in. Whisper to yourself, "This is only a story. It hasn't happened. I can let it go." That small reminder is a reset button. Let your inner world become a place of peace, not torment. Train yourself to craft thoughts that comfort you, not wound you. Seneca said it clearly, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. If the real world already presents challenges, why would you allow your imagination to multiply them unnecessarily? At the very least, let your inner world be a sanctuary, a place of refuge where you can recover strength. This isn't naive optimism, it's mental discipline. Imagination is powerful, yes, but it was meant to serve you, not sabotage you. Treat it like a tool in your hands, not a master pulling your strings. And when you stop building mental traps, something surprising happens. You realize reality, even when it's hard, is rarely as heavy as what your mind had pictured. Reality is often more neutral, more workable than the horror movies your imagination likes to produce. That recognition alone is freedom. 4. Change the way you define emotions Clearing the fog of imagination brings calm, but it's not the final step. If you want to truly reshape your emotional world, you need to look closely at how you define what you're feeling. Because the labels you give emotions don't just describe them, they determine the power they hold over you. Picture this ordinary scene. You wake up to gray skies, a heavy to-do list, and a sinking mood before the day even begins. You mutter, "This day is ruined." But pause, did the rain really ruin anything? Or was it your interpretation of the rain that turned it into a problem? After all, rain is just water falling from the sky. It carries no agenda, no emotion. The ruin came from your narrative, your label. Now imagine calling it something else, a chance to slow down, an invitation to savor warmth indoors, a reminder to reflect. One shift in label, and the emotion shifts with it. Every emotion begins with a thought, and every thought is just a passing wave in your mental ocean. The problem is that most people don't notice their thoughts at all. Their minds act like runaway machines, constantly labeling, judging, reacting. Anxiety, anger, fear, none of these are inherently bad. They gain destructive power only when you accept their labels blindly. Think of preparing for a big meeting. Your hands tremble, your heart races. You say, "I'm too anxious to do this." But what if instead you said, "This is energy. This means I care. This means I'm alive"? Instantly, anxiety transforms into excitement. Fear becomes fuel. Stress becomes motivation. Emotions are not enemies. They're messengers, signals that you're engaged, that something matters, that you're standing at the edge of growth. There are no good or bad thoughts. There are only conscious and unconscious ones. Conscious thoughts are chosen with intent. They serve you. Unconscious thoughts are automatic, often self-sabotaging. The more you let your unconscious mind define your feelings, the more you become a passenger reacting instead of responding. That's where suffering multiplies. Many people try to silence or kill their emotions, hoping that absence equals peace. But what happens when you try not to think of something? Let's test it. For the next 10 seconds, don't think of a red apple. What happened? Exactly, it popped up in your mind even stronger. Resistance intensifies whatever you try to avoid. Emotions behave the same way. The harder you push them down, the louder they echo back. Instead of fighting, try reframing. Nervousness, that's care. Frustration, that's a signal something deeply matters to you. Fear, that's proof you're stepping beyond the familiar. In this light, emotions stop being threats. They become guides. That's the Stoic approach, not detachment from life's feelings, but clarity in seeing them for what they are. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them. If you've made it this far in reflecting, it means you're serious about transforming how you live. You've already begun reclaiming authority over your inner world, and this new lens redefining emotions isn't just theory. It's practical. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it, because when more people learn to see emotions clearly, we all grow stronger together. 5. Understand the mechanics of the mind. One of the most powerful steps in breaking free from emotional turmoil is understanding how your mind actually works. Marcus Aurelius observed, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And yet, isn't it ironic? The very tool we have the most influence over is often the one we understand the least. When we fail to grasp the mechanisms of our thoughts, we get pulled into endless storms of worry, spirals of fear, bursts of frustration, without even knowing how we got there. So let's take a closer look at the inner workings of the mind. Imagine your mind as a garden. Leave it untended, and weeds in the form of negative thoughts will spread. But nurture it with care and intention, and it flourishes with calm, clarity, and resilience. The mind, however, doesn't work like scissors. You can't just cut out anxious or fearful thoughts as if they never existed. In fact, the harder you try to remove them, the louder they echo back. Here's a paradox. Try not to picture a purple tiger. What just happened? You saw it instantly, right? That's the trick of the mind. What you resist becomes louder. What you ignore becomes the center of your focus. Epictetus reminded us, people are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. So instead of resisting, ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Maybe fear is nudging you to prepare more thoroughly. Maybe anxiety is reminding you to slow down. Maybe frustration is pointing towards something you truly value. When seen through this lens, emotions stop being problems. They become teachers. They're feedback, and feedback is how we grow. Think of your mind as a high-performance vehicle, powerful, fast, capable of incredible things. But without a conscious driver, it veers off course, crashes, and wastes precious fuel. You are that driver. Without awareness, your thoughts wander on their own, spiraling into catastrophic scenarios that don't even exist. But with control, with presence, you guide your thinking intentionally, wisely, and clearly. Have you ever been gripped by anxiety before an important moment? Maybe a job interview, a crucial conversation, or a big exam. Your mind might whisper, what if I mess up? What if I look foolish? And yet, imagine if instead you said, this is a chance to learn. Mistakes don't define me, effort does. That small mental shift changes everything. Why? Because your mind multiplies whatever you focus on. Dwell on failure and it expands until it blinds you. Focus on progress and it grows stronger, energizing you to keep moving forward. A single harsh thought, like I'm not good enough, can repeat itself until it hardens into a belief. But the moment you say, I'm improving, I've come far already, your brain begins building a new pathway. This isn't abstract philosophy, it's neuroscience. Neural pathways strengthen with repetition, just like muscles. What you rehearse mentally becomes what you live physically. So start small. Whenever an emotion takes over, pause, breathe. Ask yourself 3 questions. Where did this come from? Is it really as big as it feels? Is it worth giving away my peace? These questions create a gap, and in that space, clarity lives. You begin to see that your thoughts aren't you. They're like weather patterns passing across the vast sky of your mind. And you're not the cloud. You're the sky, calm, steady, expansive, untouched. The most transformative shift you can make for your well-being is this. Stop fighting your mind. Start understanding it. It isn't your enemy. It's your greatest ally if you learn how to use it. So ask yourself right now, what thoughts are shaping my life today? Do they move me toward calm or toward chaos? Remember, you get to decide. 6. Step back from your thoughts now that you've gained insight into how the mind works. There's a deeper truth to embrace. You are not your thoughts. Emotions like anxiety, anger, or sadness aren't signs that something is broken in you. They're simply the natural output of an active, untrained mind. But understanding this fact isn't enough. If you don't want to be dragged endlessly by your mental patterns, you must practice something the Stoics and modern psychologists both recommend: the art of mental distance. It's the ability to observe your thoughts without becoming them. Think of standing back from a painting. Up close, the brush strokes seem chaotic. But with a bit of distance, the full image emerges with clarity. Picture yourself in a crucial meeting. Suddenly, a thought interrupts. What if I say the wrong thing? What if they think I'm clueless? That single thought sparks fear, tightens your chest, and floods your body with anxiety. But pause, was that fear really based on fact? Or was it simply a story your mind created and your body obediently followed? Most of the time, it's the narrative, not the actual event, that causes distress. So how do we shift this? By becoming an observer instead of a participant. Visualize. Your mind as the open sky and your thoughts as passing clouds. Some clouds are light and fleeting, others dark and heavy, but none of them define the sky. You are the sky. When you witness thoughts without attaching to them, something powerful happens. You stop believing everything they say. A practical tool for this is labeling. Instead of drowning in the feeling, say quietly to yourself, this is anxiety, this is frustration, this is fear. Naming the emotion gives it boundaries. It shrinks from overwhelming to observable. Neuroscience confirms it. Labeling emotions lowers their intensity and increases clarity. And Stoicism taught the same centuries ago. Awareness is the first step to mastery. Not denial, but understanding, so emotions no longer control you. When you're caught in emotional tension, your vision narrows. You zoom in on the problem and lose sight of the bigger picture. In those moments, ask, will this matter a week from now? A month? A year? Or better, is this something I can control? If yes, take action. If not, let it go. Trying to control. What's beyond your reach breeds nothing but suffering. Another way to build mental distance is mindfulness. Each time a strong thought arises, pause, breathe in, breathe out. Anchor your focus on the present, your breath, your body, the moment itself. Doing this repeatedly trains your brain to separate thinking from being. You don't need to silence the mind. You only need to stop obeying it blindly. Imagine standing on the bank of a river. Thoughts flow like water. You don't need to dive into the current. You can watch it pass. Remember, your mind can be a storm, but you can still be the anchor. And when you master this art of detachment, life doesn't necessarily get easier, but you become steadier. Affirm it now. I am not my thoughts. Say it, write it, believe it. Because you're not. You're the witness. And with that awareness, you gain true freedom. Now, let's turn to the next step, the one that makes every lesson sustainable. Training your mind daily to conquer negativity. Once you've learned to separate yourself from your thoughts, the next step is the most important of all: consistency. This final lesson isn't about quick flashes of inspiration. It's about discipline turning insight into habit, moment by moment, day after day. Mental clarity isn't a one-time breakthrough you stumble upon and keep forever. It's a practice you choose over and over again. The Stoics understood this deeply. Emotional mastery, they taught, isn't about eliminating fear, anger, or anxiety altogether. That's impossible. These emotions are part of being human. What you can control is your reaction to them, and that power only grows through steady training. Yet so many people crave shortcuts. They read a single book, hear a single motivational quote, and expect permanent transformation. But that's like walking into the gym once and expecting a sculpted body. Or like holding a beach ball underwater, you can force it down for a while. But the moment you let go, it bursts back to the surface with even greater force. Suppressing emotions without training the mind works the same way. They resurface stronger, more disruptive, and harder to manage. The Stoics didn't run from difficult emotions. They trained for them just as a soldier trains for battle, or a musician trains for performance. Epictetus once reminded us, "No great thing is created suddenly." And he was right. Think of a tree. It needs time to grow its roots before it ever bears fruit. Think of a fig. It needs time to ripen before it can nourish. In the same way, your mind needs nurturing, patience, and repetition. So begin small. When anxiety creeps in, don't resist it blindly. Question it. Ask, will this matter in 5 years, even in 5 weeks? That single question stretches your view and suddenly shrinks your fear. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine you're preparing to present in front of your company's leadership team. Doubt whispers, "What if I fail? What if I look unprepared?" At that very moment, you stand at a fork in the road. You can freeze, surrendering to the spiral, or you can train. The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They visualized the worst-case scenario, then calmly asked, "Even if that happened, could I survive it? Could I learn from it? Could I recover?" And more often than not, the answer is yes. The fear doesn't vanish, but its grip loosens because courage grows stronger. To reinforce this process, create a nightly ritual. Spend just 5 minutes before bed writing down what made you anxious, angry, or afraid during the day. Then ask, what triggered this? What could I have done differently? Over time, this reflection builds self-awareness like muscle. Patterns begin to appear. You notice recurring triggers, false narratives, and hidden areas for growth. You start to respond more wisely, recover more quickly, and carry less emotional weight. Training. Your mind is like brushing your teeth. You don't skip it simply because you did it yesterday. It's not a one-time project, it's daily hygiene for your soul. The truth is, there's no finish line. You'll never reach a point where nothing ever bothers you, but you will reach a place where nothing controls you. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about practice, one calm decision at a time, one thoughtful pause at a time, one honest journal entry at a time. That's how strength is built. Eventually, your mind stops being your obstacle and starts becoming your ally. Overcoming. Negativity doesn't mean you stop feeling it. It means you can feel deeply without falling apart. It means you can create space between reaction and response. It means you can become a lifelong student of yourself every single day. We Vid now walked through 7 powerful tools rooted in Stoic wisdom, from recognizing the joy your mind can generate, to mastering your reactions, to detaching from false stories, to reframing how you define emotions, to building resilience through reflection and practice. But the most vital piece is this: apply them daily. Don't let these ideas stay in your head. Turn them into habits. Let them seep into your mornings, your conversations, your struggles, your quiet moments at night. Slowly but surely, you'll notice the shift. You'll grow stronger, calmer, and more grounded, not only when life is peaceful, but especially when the storms come. If this message resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Please like and share. It might reach someone who needs it even more than you. And drop a comment below. What's one practice you're going to start today? Writing it down is your first act of commitment. And if you're ready to go further, subscribe for more lessons on living with clarity, strength, and peace. Thank you for being here until the end. Remember this: the power to shape your life doesn't begin with tomorrow. It begins with your very next thought. Use it wisely and keep walking forward with courage. What's one negative thought or emotion you're ready to start mastering today? Drop it in the comments. It could be the first step toward reclaiming your peace. And if this message struck a chord, explore our StoicCraft playlist, where each lesson dives deeper into building clarity, strength, and resilience in a noisy world.